Hello to everyone. Thank you for joining us for the RAMP Education Zoom session. I am Caliba's incoming ED, Hannah Walcher, and today it is my pleasure to introduce Suzanne Shoger. Suzanne is the founder of RAMP and has a lot of information for us today on the process of signing up for the RAMP Holiday Catalog. Please save your questions for the end, though you can enter them into the chat so we don't lose them. And either you can come on screen and ask your question yourself, or Kaliba will do so for you, whatever you're most comfortable with. And just remember that this is being recorded so that other booksellers can watch at a later date. So thank you, and thank you, Suzanne. I'll pass it on to you.
Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. It's great to be with you, some of you again. And it's hard to believe, although it's not, that it's time to be thinking about holiday. So it's a beautiful sunny day where I am. And fortunately, you all have beautiful sunny days year round. I live in Ohio, so it's stranger to me maybe to be thinking about holiday on a sunny day than it is for you. So I just want to go through quickly the RAMP catalog overview, the holiday catalog overview, and answer questions that you have about the features of the catalog, and probably more importantly at this juncture, the process of ordering catalogs, because there are a lot of details and a lot of different options and ways of structuring your catalog order. So as Hannah said, we'll take some questions at the end. If you have questions, feel free to put them in the chat. And I think that Hannah and company will monitor those as we go. And if there's something that is urgent that we need to address along the way, we'll definitely do that. So I'm curious to know, I don't know if I can really tell, how many people among this group have ordered the summer catalog. Did anybody, can you turn on your screen and wave if you've ordered the summer catalog, which is the cutest? Do you like it? Trying to see who it is. Gail, how is it? Oh, volume. Sorry. I've thrown us off track.
Hi.
Hi.
I think we, now I'm wondering because I'm looking at it and I don't recognize it. I thought we ordered the summer catalog. We would have gotten it already.
Yeah,
So
yes, you would have.
no, we're waiting for the fall.
Holiday. Okay, sorry to put you on the spot. Did
That's
anybody
okay.
else want to pop on? Anybody else do a summer order? Jessica? Volume?
Ours just came in, I want to say yesterday or the day before.
Okay.
So we just sent them out to our stores yesterday, and hopefully they will start meeting our customers here shortly.
I hope so. And hopefully the ordering process was pretty simple for you.
I think so. Yeah.
Good. So for people who have ordered the summer catalog, the holiday catalog is the same process plus some additional elements. So the basic framework of our order system is identical between summer and holiday. So if you already have a rampbooks.com account, you'll use that same account to order your holiday catalogs. So when you sign on to rampbooks.com, you will see the page that you're looking at right now. If you scroll down, this is our marketing kit, which talks about the holiday catalogs in more detail. So if you want information about the size of the catalog and how many pages and how it's distributed, you can either page through this. There's a little, you can see there are forward buttons and so forth. I'm going backwards because my screen is taking over on the side. Anyway, you can download this as well. So I would really suggest looking at this to see what the holiday catalog package as a whole can involve. So that's the first place to start. And then if you just keep scrolling, you can see holiday catalog order portal and holiday catalog orders are open. Click here to get started. this is the first place you go, whether you have an account set up already or not. And when you do, you'll see this. So this is the bookstore portal. If you have an account, you'll just enter your email to sign in. If you're new to Ramp, which I'm going to pretend to be new for a minute. And you'll enter in your address and it will walk you through creating an account for your store. And it's important. So there's a lot of information on our website and on our order form in particular. And it's kind of good news, bad news. The bad news is there's a lot of information to read through. The good news is it's super useful information, and 99% of your questions and concerns can be answered within this form. So it does pay to kind of try to be distraction free if you can while you're getting set up and placing your order. It'll save you some headache in the long run. So you will just fill this out quickly. I'm going to put my address in again. My store name. I'll click Kaliba as my association. All this. Just do little things that are made up for now. And then here where it asks for your store e-commerce system, you can just choose, are you an indie commerce store? Are you a hand seller store? Do you have no store e-commerce? That will come into play a little bit later. And so then we submit this. Oh, sorry, that's what I get for not choosing the proper state. All right, we submit, maybe. Oh, I still didn't do it right. There we go. So if you're new to rampbooks.com, that's the first thing you'll do. If you've already been part of the order process before now, it will take you automatically here. So then you'll get to the actual order form. And I'm not going to read all of this to you because you'll be able to read it yourself, and it makes perfect sense if you just kind of take it a piece at a time. But really, we have 3 types of orders for holiday catalogs. There are express orders, which just means you want boxes of plain catalogs, unimprinted, they're not customized, they don't have your store name and logo on them, sent to your store. And you would also like, it's optional, our e-commerce or online catalog. So that's the express order. There's no personalization, customization, there's no saturation mail, there's no newspaper insertions, etc. That one's super simple. That is just like ordering the summer catalog, exactly the same. Full order is everything that the express order includes. Plus, this is where you are able to select custom cover imprinting and other options, such as you want some of your catalogs, or maybe all of them, to go to a newspaper, or you want to add on saturation mail to targeted zip codes. So that's what the full order includes. And then the concierge order is really a catch-all for if you need help and want to talk about some options. If you have a complicated setup, some of our accounts have multiple locations and they want one thing for one location and something different for another. And so sometimes it's just easier to talk to a human. So that's what the concierge order is. And throughout the whole thing, you'll see there are places constantly reminding you that you can contact our staff, the Ramp staff, for support at any time. I mean, there aren't very many of us, but we're really responsive. So let's say for this particular order type, we'll do the full order. If we were going to do express, it's the same as the beginning part of the full order. So we'll just go to full order. And you can see here that we can select whether we want newspaper insertions and saturation mail. In fact, let's go back. Sorry. Let's go ahead and do this express order so that you can see that chunk of it first. So the express order, as you see, you can save your progress, save your place, and return to this form at any point to finish your order. You don't have to do it all at one time. Ordering boxes of catalogs for your store, each box contains 500 catalogs. So that's the quantity in terms of boxes. Boxes are what get shipped to a store. If you're sending catalogs to newspapers, you can order any quantity and they go on pallets and skids as opposed to boxes. So you could order, 576 catalogs. You could order 13,024 catalogs. Boxes go to your store. Shipping on everything you order is always free. And each store is eligible, let me put it more specifically, each Kaliba member is eligible for 7,000 up to 7,000 free catalogs. Doesn't matter where you send them, you're eligible for 7,000 catalogs for free. And then if, again, you're doing this express order where you're just ordering boxes for your store, you are able to purchase anything over 7,000 free catalogs in quantities of 500 for $55 a box. So we haven't changed our rate on that for years and years. It's definitely below cost. So that's what that covers. And then imprinting, this is just an FYI for later. In an express order, you're not going to be choosing imprinting, but just so you know, you have to have at least 1,000 catalogs to be eligible for customizing your catalog. So if we put in one box, we would be getting 500 catalogs. You can see here all the different selections. And then delivery confirmation, you can either use the address that's part of your account, or you can use an alternate address. And some people need to have their catalog shipped to an address that is different from their store, but it's not a newspaper, for example. And then all stores that do have e-commerce platforms, the indie commerce, hand seller, bookseller, all of those, you are eligible for a free online catalog page that is created just for your store. It's super easy to use. It's adorable. It can be connected to your store website. It can be emailed to stores. It can be put on social media. And it has buy buttons. So it's all fully functional from an e-commerce standpoint. All you have to do is opt in for that. And then it will ask you to choose here which of these services you use. So this is just telling you what the order confirmation is that you're agreeing to. And if I don't know if it will let me go forward. Nope, I need to choose something here. Number of boxes, we'll choose one box. This address, opt-in, and agreement. Next. Did that work? All right, so I haven't submitted the order yet. So this will say up here the name of your bookstore and will give you steps for submitting your order and tell you that you're almost finished, which is the best news. So if you're ready to finalize and save, you just select the first option below and submit. If you still need more time, you would select this second option, which is save my place. I'm still working on this, and you submit. If you don't do that, you will lose what you put in. So that is critical. So that's how you do the express order. So if we were to go back, we would choose, we can do the full order. And here is where we would choose newspaper insertion, maybe newspaper and saturation. We can do one or both of those. And then same thing, number of boxes, where are they going to go, same address or a different address. Are you part of an e-commerce platform? So all of this stays the same. I think I'm gonna have to fill it out, maybe not. All of that stays the same. So this is where we get to custom cover imprinting, because if you're ordering for newspaper insertions and or direct saturation mail, you must imprint your cover. And so this is where you can add on the back cover and on the front cover whatever you want, as long as it fits to this space right here. If you don't want to customize your store, put your store name and information on the front and the back will be blank. It will have a graphic on it that matches the front, and the front in this area down here where the store imprint is will have a little saying about shopping local and things like that. So people put all kinds of things. There's a bulk mail stamp on the back of this. If we're doing direct mail, this is where addresses obviously are printed. This return address is kind of a template, so it's not that you have really too much room to customize there, but where you do have a lot of room is right here. You can put a coupon, you can put anything you want. You can, one store I had, the owner of the store had also written a book. And so she had a copy of the book jacket in this part of the back cover, along with store hours and information. So she chose that as a little advertising spot. Some people put information there about events, on and on. And then the front is the logo. It's all in black and white though. It's all grayscale. So there's no color imprinting on the front or the back other than the artwork. So the cost for imprinting is something else that's stayed the same for quite some time. And Kaliba is subsidizing a chunk of it. So for you to customize your catalog, it's $100, and you need a minimum order of 1,000 catalogs combined, no matter where you are sending them. So this tells you if you don't want cover imprinting, you can go back and change your order to express order. I wanted to upload I wanted imprinting, so I would move on to this, which is I'm going to upload my own artwork that's ready to go, or I want the ramp designer to create something. And by that, I don't mean we would create a logo for you. I mean, we would lay out your information on the front or the back or both, if that's what you needed. Next year, so for the other 3 associations that are part of RAMP, any stores that have participated in the past will see their prior year's order. They'll see the cover and they can say, I want to do exactly what I did last year. And they'll see, in fact, their whole order. They'll see how many they ordered, where they went, if they had imprinting, etc. And they can make selections by looking at the prior year. So that's something to look forward to next year, because it just really speeds things up. This is that generic return address image template that I mentioned. And so it'll put the address in there. If for some reason it needs to be different, you have a place where you can make that happen. And then I'm not going to click this because I would have to go back and add in so many other pieces to this order. But this is just, again, an agreement that imprinting is required, etc., the deadline. And there is a cost calculator. If we were to click next, we would get to when my order is kind of built, there's a little calculator that shows you by the time maybe you've ordered 8,000 catalogs. And so you had an extra 1,000 catalogs at $55 per 500. So you might have that charge showing, and you would have $100 of imprinting charge showing, so that you can see what this is adding up to. on saturation mail, let's just talk about that for a quick second. Once you get into placing orders, this continues on. Once you're placing orders for saturation mail, it will ask you kind of these generic questions about what is your budget for saturation mail, or what do you think it might be, or what zip codes are you thinking about targeting for saturation mail? And it's a very open-ended part of this order form because you and I have to work together on that. And so you'll give me some initial information about, I am interested in spending $500 on saturation mail. The cost to you on doing that, to do that, is postage, basically, unless you get into catalog quantities beyond that free 7,000. If you send 7,000 catalogs to the newspaper and you want to do another 1,000 for saturation mail, you would be paying that $55 per 500 on the additional 1,000 catalogs. Plus you would be paying, I think it's 20 cents or 22 cents, I can't remember, on the postage per saturation mail. So that again is where the cost calculator comes in and is helpful in helping you know as you go through this exactly what the cost will be. So you put in some initial information and then I will contact you. You can set up a meeting with me or we will email back and forth. And we work with a mailing service. And so I'll give your parameters to the mailing service. They will pull zip code and mail carrier route information for whatever parameters you've provided. So most people choose an area right around their store, but I've had some stores who choose a different part of town because they want to try to grow their business beyond their neighborhood. So they try that 1 year to kind of expand their reach. Different decision-making strategies in there. Direct mail is an incredibly efficient, effective form of marketing. It's probably the top number one. The outcomes on that are generally better than any other form of marketing, which is interesting. So we will talk and I will send you information that the mailing service came up with about here's kind of what your $500 will get you. And we can go back and forth. You might decide, I don't want to do this at all, which is fine. You might decide, I want to send 3 times as many, or I want to send to a totally different location. Or I want to pull out this group, but add in some other zip code. We can customize it. It's not nearly as arduous as it sounds, but the first time you do it, it's a bit of a head scratcher. So it's different from every door direct mail in that it's specifically addressed to, each house or each apartment, each residence in a carrier route, and you can skip carrier routes. So it's not just a blanket, everybody gets one kind of a situation. So it's much more targeted. We can come back and I can answer questions on saturation mail in a minute. The only other thing I would say about it is you don't have to pay for saturation mail at the end of this order process the way you do if you're ordering anything else that incurs a charge. Some of you will order catalogs and you'll have no charge because you will be under the free allotment and you'll be getting generic catalogs that aren't imprinted. And so those are free, just like summer, there's no charge. But most people that choose to imprint and or add on newspapers and saturation mail, at which point there's a fee, and we collect those fees at the time of order placement. And so because the saturation mail piece has to go back and forth, we don't know at the time you place your order exactly the number of catalogs you're going to be sending to your carrier routes and zip codes. We have to go back and forth first and narrow that down. So there'll be a little time delay in between when you start that order, when you initiate that order, and when it's finished and you can actually check out and pay. And so that's why anybody who's interested in doing saturation needs to initiate their order by June 1st so that we have time to go back and forth, because we're on a really tight time frame after June 15th. It's like then we're on the ride. We're in motion and things go to the designer and go to the printer, and we have only a, scheduled allotted time to make all of these things happen. So if you think you want saturation mail, make sure you start your order on here and submit the start of it. You'll see when you do it how to do that so that we can get it done by June 15th, if that makes sense. Newspaper is really simple. It's up to you, which I know is a difference, to create your own newspaper insertion strategy and contact your newspaper or newspapers to negotiate what your project will look like, how many you want to insert and when and what the cost is. And so you'll make that arrangement directly with the newspaper. It's really very straightforward, usually very simple. All you have to provide us is the shipping information for wherever the newspaper wants you to send the catalogs and a contact. So you'll just order the way you'd order catalogs coming to your store, only they're going to a newspaper. So I think that's it for the moment. Questions? Who wants to?
Suzanne, I'm wondering if you can hop over to the left rail there and show the cost estimator, which is kind of a cool tool.
We can try.
Where you were before.
Whoops. Oh no. Let's see. All right, so can you see the cost estimator?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So if we put in the association, let's put in, I don't know, 20 boxes. And let's do imprinting. And we'll calculate the cost of that. So the estimated cost is $330. So we have 10,000 catalogs. Wait, 10,000 catalogs shipped to the store, 10,000 total catalogs. If we had also identified we wanted 5,000 catalogs sent to a newspaper, that's what would show up here along with this. It would be 15,000 catalogs. So the cost for the 10,000 catalogs shipped to a store was $330. That's taking into account the 7,000 free catalogs. And then the imprinting cost is $100. So we could also just put in 5 boxes and imprinting, and we'll calculate. And the cost of that is 0 for catalogs because it's underneath that 7,000 threshold, and the imprinting cost is $100. If we didn't want imprinting, we could uncheck that and recalculate, and the cost is 0. So you can kind of play around with different scenarios. If we wanted to do saturation mail, yes, it's $20 per piece for all catalogs. So if we put in that we wanted to mail 10,000 saturation mail catalogs, let's just do that. We won't do any to the store. 0. We will imprint, and Wonder if it asks me how many saturation mail pieces. Let's see. $1,000. I guess it just asks you for the amount on the saturation and not the quantity. And so we can work from either direction, but the cost on that, the total cost would be $1,100. Does that make sense? We've got the original, this is the saturation estimate. That's the two, we wanted to spend $1,000. So here's your $1,000. We had an imprinting cost, etc. Other questions? Here's one thing that's worth really looking at, and that is on this left-hand side, all of these is really useful. Welcome is just an overview. This is where you can order boxes of catalogs to be shipped to your store. You can customize your e-commerce page. You can select cover imprinting. You can deal with newspaper. So it just kind of tells you these are all the things you're going to be able to order when you work through this. This section, again, a ton of information, but super simple. And here it says, contact the ramp staff if you have questions. I don't know if you can see that, but an email popped up contacting us. So that's those little contact us things are all over. Communication from ramp. Okay, so this is important. This is different from communication from Kaliba. So throughout our process, throughout your order process, the ramp staff will keep you informed about your order progress. So let's say you start an order and you intend to come back to it later. We will remind you of that. We'll keep in touch with you about deadlines. All communication coming from ramp comes from this rampbooks.staff@gmail.com to whatever email address you give us. So make sure that we are whitelisted in your spam filters. So that's just letting you know that there will be confirmations of your order. There will be messages from us. I mean, it's not crazy or anything. It's just to keep you informed of what you have been doing relative to this order process. These are those three types of orders again. The express order, the green is what is included, the red is not. Here's full, the green is automatically included, the yellow is optional. So that's just a quick overview. Catalogs for your store and your online page. This again is an overview. This whole section, catalog basics, is just kind of general information. So if you have questions, this is a great place to go. This is what I already covered about boxes of 500, shipping is free, the online component. This gives you information about the front and back cover imprinting. This tells you about file types that we can take, including for your store logo. And then newspaper insertion, this tells you everything you need to know about that, what we need to have from you to make that happen. Here's the info about saturation mail. And then here's the info about saving and updating your order so that you can come back and work on it. So all of that is right here in Catalog Basics, which is basically what I've been covering for the last half hour. If you need to update your account at any point, you can do that by clicking on Update Your Account. Perhaps you have an address change or a contact change. You want to provide a different contact. We've also gone through the cost estimator, so that's useful. And then here's the order form, order holiday catalogs, which that's where we started. And again, another section, which you probably won't be able to see, but allows you to contact RAMP for tech support and or anything else you need. Other questions? Kaliba staff, help me out. Yep.
I'll
Good.
mention that um to newspaper insertions and the saturation mailing, Kaliba will reimburse up to $200. So
Nice.
definitely take advantage of that. And also we have a list of newspaper contacts from 2023, and the ramp staff also need help with the ordering process or questions.
So we have a question from Julia in the chat about how are the books chosen that are included? Do you want to cover that, Suzanne?
Sure. So if you saw my last video about the summer catalog, I shared then that I've been doing holiday catalogs for regional associations for 32 years. This is my 32nd catalog year. And between the cover art and the title selection, those are the two most critical components to this process from a bookseller's standpoint. In terms of how books are selected for the catalog itself, one thing is for certain, and that is we would love to go after any of the books that you specifically would like to see in the catalog. We'll have a form going shortly that's a booksellers recommend form where you can actually just type in books that are on your wish list for the catalog, and we will specifically target those titles. I have been working with all these publishers for 32 years, and they've been working with you. So they have a lot of knowledge and experience about what goes on in your area and what sells well in your area. And I used to do the Southern California catalog, so I have that background and context. But it's definitely a dance with publishers who don't have advertising dollars for every title that you wish they would. And so it becomes a negotiation where we're talking with publishers about, please, 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 we really want this because this is a local author. This is someone who, got their start in this region and has done well with author tours in this area and want to add on with their new title and so forth. Versus titles that publishers have big budgets for. I mean, we work really hard to seek out indie titles and indie-like titles and things that set you apart as indie bookstores, if that makes sense. So we want your input. We definitely work with publishers to get their input. And there are titles that are turned back, they're turned down. The Kaliba staff and the ramp staff, we ultimately can decide if there's something that we don't want to have in the catalog that someone has reserved a spot for. So that happens too.
Great question. Jessica, was that yours as well? Okay, perfect. Any other questions? I'm watching the chat if anyone's typing, or feel free to jump in.
So hopefully you've all seen a little bit of information about the cover art contest. Does that sound familiar?
Does to me, but I'm not a good judge.
I don't know if, Kaliba, have you sent out
Yes, yeah.
a little info about that yet? So we, Ramp launched a cover art contest last year just because covers are so tricky and bookstores understandably want to have a cover that is applicable to whatever their store scenario is. And so a lot of times, as you I'm sure are aware, we wind up with super juvenile covers because those are the books that have illustrations. And so we're constantly in a push-pull with we need cover art that is not holiday specific, that is inclusive, that has an indie spirit to it, that has an emphasis on books, and that is not too juvenile. And that you're willing to pay for, publisher. So that after 30 years got old and nobody was happy. So last year we launched a cover art contest where publishers can submit designs of their choosing. And so we had 50 applicants last year, which was incredible. And then the bookstores, the Ramp bookstores, voted. And so they chose the cover. The cover that was chosen last year actually won by a landslide. But we're doing that again because that was just great all the way around. Publishers got free advertising. It created a lot of buzz. It drew attention to not just the title that won, but the other 49, which was cool. There were a lot of really interesting things in there that we would have missed had we not known about the titles through this contest. So you'll have a chance to vote coming up in May, I think, May or early June. So
There's May 20th, voting opens.
perfect.
Wonderful. Well, if there are any other questions, comments?
I
All
have
right, well,
one
keep an
thing.
eye out. Oh, yeah, Suzanne, go ahead.
Just one more thing, and that is on the Ramp website, there's a little button. It's not a button, it's like a menu item that you can choose in the upper right-hand corner that says bookstores. And that is where you can consistently go for information and assets to help you promote the catalog and prepare for promoting the catalog. So there's an Edelweiss collection that was kept very current in real time. So you can constantly know how many books are in the catalog, which ones are they, what categories are they, all that is there for you. And then over the next few months, we'll be adding a bunch of assets for shelf talkers and bookmarks and signage in your store and all kinds of different really great looking, professionally designed marketing pieces that are free. I mean, you can just download these and PDFs and different file types so that you can do posters, so that you can have displays and put things in your windows. But just that's a great point of what's going on with the catalog. Where do I find information? I'm going to go check in the bookseller resource section because that's just kind of and there's summer things in there now too, which you'll get a sense for holiday if you look at summer.